Morning, all, and welcome to June 19th of 2021. We're a week away from what would have been the entry draft. A normal season, you gotta think June 26th would have been the entry draft. And instead, we're still in the semifinals. And tonight it's game 4, and I'm not wearing a jersey. I'm wearing a Springfield Thunderbirds jersey. I'm not wearing a jersey of a team that's currently in the playoffs because, there you go. Tampa Bay and the New York Islanders play game 4 tonight. Tampa Bay, of course, up 2-1. And for the Islanders, they need to stop Braden Point, which is harder than it sounds. He has 11 goals right now in the playoffs. He's good for a goal every game. And they need to stop Kucherov from getting on the board. He's got 23 points. This series has been really good. I know the interest in the two series. It's much higher in the Vegas-Montreal series. I've looked at the view counts over the last few days, and I've said, yeah, there's a big difference. But same amount of attention paid to both by me because I'm just as interested in one as I am in the other. And for the Islanders, if they can pull out a victory tonight, tie up the series, put some more pressure on Tampa, who knows, right? It's not over until it's officially done. That's what Babe Ruth said back in the day. It's not over until it's officially done. I promise. That's what he said. All right, so let me know who you think's going to win the game in the comment section below. And moving along, the reason that I'm wearing a Springfield jersey, well, because it's got a Florida Panthers patch on the shoulder, of course. And Sasha Barkov won the Selke Trophy yesterday, which caused some consternation from some I saw online who felt there was some kind of a collusion going on, that so many of the writers voted Barkov as the best defensive forward in the game. The thing is, it doesn't really surprise me. We have talked about Barkov for years and how good he is and how fantastic he's been. But this year, Florida did really well. So because Florida did really well and he had a good season, he gets the votes. And it's one of those odd things about how all this voting goes down is that, yeah, if your team does better, players on your team will get more consideration for trophies than they would if your team doesn't do well. The best example of that is the Vezina, where very often a goaltender for a team that may not be very good, he might be spectacular, but he won't get as much consideration for the Vezina because look where he's playing. So, yeah, Barkov, now that Florida had a really good year, Barkov's finally getting his just desserts. I think he's deserved to have a Selke trophy before this, so I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth on this one. I think it's great. I think it's good for him. And, it's nice to see Florida Panthers getting themselves a trophy this year. So we'll see what he does next season and how he follows that up. His contract, Huberdeau's contract, they're such a bargain for Florida. Absolute bargains. Speaking of bargain contracts, Minnesota may not get one from Kaprizov. So Kaprizov's in Russia. He's over there, I think it's for a wedding. So all these, hey, he could sign in the KHL. He can, and here's why. He's a restricted free agent. So he has two options. Either he signs to stay with the Minnesota Wild, right? Or he signs in the KHL and comes back after that contract's done. Now, after the season he's had, which likely will lead him to be the Calder winner this year, if he were to go back to the KHL, if he signs with CSKA Moscow, there's going to be hell to pay from, I would think, everybody in Minnesota. And how in the world can you let this happen? It was a while before Kaprizov came over. I don't think Kaprizov has any qualms about necessarily going back. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just going to be that Minnesota's going to have to give in. He wants a short-term contract. My guess is, and again, this is just strictly a guess, the kind of contract that walks you to unrestricted free agency. So as soon as it's done, it's the first year he's eligible for free agency. Now, you save money on a contract like that. They won't have to pay him as much, but they want to sign him to a long-term deal. They want to buy, as it said, they want to buy years of unrestricted free agency so they have long-term security. And so that's the issue. Or Kaprizov's just looking at the current economic situation and saying, you know what? The league's lost a bunch of money. Things are going to start getting better this coming season, but it's going to take a while to dig your way out. Salary cap will start going up in 2, maybe 3 years. I want to sign a 2 or 3 year contract and see if I can really cash in at the end of it. So we'll see how it goes, but I did see some panic from some online. I don't see any reason to panic. He's in Russia. He's from Russia. It's not that big a deal. Until we actually hear that he is not thinking about coming back that he's decided to give up. Like, yeah, the negotiations have run into an impasse. They often do. Unrestricted free agents, restricted free agents. You're going to have impasses along the way. And usually with a restricted free agent, those work out. With a UFA, not necessarily, because they're like, hey, I can just go to the market. A restricted free agent can't. Carl Soderberg has signed a 2-year deal with Malmo of the SHL. And so he's going back to Sweden, which doesn't necessarily surprise me. It was kind of a down year for him altogether. He finished it out in Colorado, but yeah, it doesn't really surprise me that he's going home for a couple years. 35 years of age, right? So that'll make him 37 at the end of that contract. It makes sense. Soderberg, I liked him as a player. I remember when he was in Boston, I liked him there too. Didn't necessarily like the contract at the time, but I liked the player. And wish him all the best. And last but not least, I want to talk a bit about Montreal. So going into last night's game, there was a lot of upset about the fact that Ducharme tests positive for COVID and he's out for what's very likely 10 days, right? It's highly likely that he's going to be out for 10 days unless they can find a test saying he's fine. But there's always a silver lining with these kinds of things that, for me, I found as soon as I heard Luke Richardson was going to be behind the bench. I have argued for years that Luke Richardson deserves a shot at a coaching job in the National Hockey League. So last night, to me, Luke Richardson proved he can do it. He is on the grandest stage you can get in hockey. He is playing against the Vegas Golden Knights. He's got a team that I think we can all state that man for man, Vegas is a better team than Montreal, and they get the victory last night. Now, yes, absolutely, Fleury with that gaff behind his own net allows them to tie it, but they were only behind by 1 goal. And I thought he did a good job. And I thought there were minor differences between the way Richardson ran that bench and the way Dominic Ducharme runs that bench. And I thought they worked out pretty well. So I think coming out of last night, that Richardson, and of course Alex Burrows as well, I think, and others on that staff, I think they did a good job of making their case that, hey, we're pretty good at this and deserve a second look. So Richardson, I've been on his bandwagon for a while. And I really do hope he ends up getting a head coaching job. It is bizarre because I've watched this. He's bounced around here and there, and I'm like, wait, he's assistant coach there? But wasn't he just an assistant coach? Like, why isn't anybody giving him a head coaching job? I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, hopefully that gets changed. So, all right, let me know who you think wins the game between Tampa Bay and the Islanders tonight in the comment section below. How you feel about the Barkov Selke win. Because, again, I know people are kind of split on it. Like I said, I'm just glad he's getting basically recognized for being one of the best two-way forwards in the game for a while. And how does the Kaprizov thing settle itself out? Did they sign him long-term? Did they sign him short-term? Or does he go to the KHL and Wild fans lose their collective minds? Let me know your prediction in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.